you?
I'm doing good. How's your day going so far?
Really good, thanks. Yours?
It's been good. I'm
Good.
happy we were able to make this happen.
Yes, me too. Thanks for the invite.
My pleasure. How's life been? End of the year.
I can't complain. There's been a lot of things that have happened just in the last quarter,
Yeah.
good, bad, and indifferent that have just, I feel like it's starting to make sense my life over the last 2 years. It's
Oh,
starting to come together. I feel like there's a new path and a new vision
yeah.
taking shape. But how about you?
You know what? It's a lot of growth. 1 year and ups, downs, kind of like everyone else. But it's really cool to kind of go within now and say, holy smokes, where did I grow? Where do I have things I need to fix and be better at? And I think that's a part of being human, but that's the silver lining, right? We have time right now to figure out who we are. So it's been really interesting to see that.
I agree with you.
hmm
100%.
How's business been though for you guys?
Well, from on which side?
I guess, right? Which one? Well, I guess for the listeners, um, you're a co-founder of one of the bar studios here, but you're also focused in mom fitness. And now you have this new venture. I think you started earlier this year, which is RA Virtual?
Yeah, the real VA. So,
RV, yeah.
the real VA. So the real virtual assistant is
Yeah.
essentially what that looks like. But
That, by the way,
um,
super cool that you do that, first of all.
yeah, I've done a lot of virtual assistant style support
Yeah.
for several years, like well before the pandemic ever really took shape
hmm
and before work from home became a thing. Like this is dating back and like this is going to really date me. But, 20 years ago or so, 15,
Yeah.
20 years ago when I was working corporate, I worked on in a national, international role. So my focus was traveling around the world and implementing different aspects of a project, which required me to
Mm.
work, very independently,
Yeah.
anywhere, hotels, offices, airplanes, airports, what have you. So I look at a lot of the services that I provided from a project perspective and have now carrying them forward through, working at a fitness studio, working, different corporate roles and bringing forward my skill set from, into more of a digital age.
hmm
In terms of business from like a mom perspective and teaching fitness classes, my sister is the owner of Bar Body Studio, and I was very fortunate enough to invest in that venture of hers
Right.
many, many years ago when she opened in 2012. She actually opened the first bar studio in Alberta.
Oh, wow.
Fast forward, teaching new moms and
hmm
adding a new mom program was a staple of our offerings for several years. I think it started in 2013. And, we ran it very consecutively and consistently for many, many years. It was one of our favorite programs. So we reevaluated what
hmm
was being offered out there. And while we've physically closed the studio doors, I would have to divert to her to talk more
For
about
sure. Yeah.
our studio side, but teaching, fitness to new moms, people that have been really segregated and cut off from society.
hmm
It's much like, elderly people as well that have been moved into homes or into care centers. That connection to the outside world has been lost. And a lot of the programs that used to be offered and those opportunities for new moms or, individuals to get out and participate in play activities with kids and meet other people, it, they're just, there really isn't a lot being provided out there. Even if you are double vaxxed as a parent and you're taking your kid to a play center,
hmm
there's some of those groups, but there's not structured, coordinated programs or classes where you're, focusing on yourself and starting to build those connections. So we felt it was important to start to offer a little bit of that and, just spark some joy, really.
Absolutely. Was it tough on you guys when things closed down and just like many people or many business owners, where are we going to go? What are we going to do here?
It was 100%.
Yeah.
It was just a shock. I don't really have the words to put in. I didn't carry the majority of the burden of those responsibilities.
Sure. Yeah.
And for that, I'm eternally grateful to my sister.
That's
However,
fantastic.
there's the amount of stress that you feel, just, I think all of us have felt. And then owning business has just really put that, that pressure just
hmm
It just changes a lot of the way you think and the way you operate and the relationships that you have with people. I'd have to speak, just more on a personal level, just that change that comes from the things that you used to do every single day. We all shut down and we all started working from home. We didn't leave our houses anymore, and our kids were playing in the background, and our dogs are right there on us, or whatever. And it just, the shift that we all had to undertake, and the stresses that, working from home brought forward were, something that I don't think that any one of us could have ever prepared for. No amount of time, even when I traveled and, had deadlines that had to be met halfway around the world, that feel was never the same, right? Working from home and the pressures that added up and mounted day in and day out. I don't think there's anything in life that could have prepared us for the past 12 months.
No. It's really cool because I started a podcast earlier this year, January 2021, and I was thinking in my head that imagine if I was like, Tara, let's meet up and set up this podcast. I mean, we would have to plan weeks in advance. Yeah. If so, now this is just second nature. Let's just Zoom. But do you remember there was a time when you tell people, let's just Zoom it or let's Skype, and they're like, oh, really? We're going to use that?
Yes.
And now this is so much more convenient than ever. Yeah.
It really is. It really is. But on two folds, just starting out my virtual assistant business, I do have some clients that are in Calgary, which is where I'm based.
Mm-hmm.
And, while, I've sent off quotes as far away as New Zealand, I've got a couple people that are saying, do you want to just Zoom meet, or do you want to actually meet? And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to throw out there the meet, because I'm missing and craving that
human,
that human connection, like building a relationship,
mm-hmm.
sitting down, looking at somebody, fostering that relationship and coming together and actually getting outside of my four walls. I feel like that just changes your perspective and your mood in life.
Yeah. Do you have a Frenchie as well? Did I just see a Frenchie?
Yeah, is he zooming around behind me?
Yeah, my little guy's right here. He's a Frenchie as well, and I love them. They're so funny.
They do have very, very interesting personalities.
Yeah. And they snore.
A lot.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, for someone that is, say, interested in getting a virtual assistant, it just seems very, I guess, mundane or exhausting to say, oh, now how do I train someone to, I don't know, what are they doing? Answering emails. Well, by the time I tell them to answer the email, why don't I just answer it? What is a VA?
Sure. Essentially, a virtual assistant people call them different things: virtual assistants, personal assistants. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's very different skill sets and skill levels that you could be looking for. You could have somebody from, a personal assistant side that's, answering your emails and providing just, static updates. Perhaps mm-hmm. they're supporting an executive by managing their calendar, coordinating different events or different meetings for them, scheduling lunch and learns, what have you. Maybe they're ordering your good food box, right? Who knows? Mm. Perhaps you're going into something a little bit more, bigger when you're talking about event management. You're putting on training for clients that are coming in. Maybe you're doing virtual training like Zooms, and you're sending out multiple different links, for different levels of the program. Maybe you're that person that's assisting with that side of it. In terms of training virtual assistants, a lot of us, and I speak very broadly when I say us, there's so many people out there that have such a broad skill set that can really only be learned through, corporate life or life, running your own business or, just being invested in supporting other people's time. A lot of that is looking at where can I provide the most assistance and the most benefit to you as an organization. Mm-hmm. So while you might look and say, I only need help with emails, perfect. But through the course of me supporting you and assisting with replying to emails, now I'm seeing that you need a process around how other people are handling the delivery of X or the Y. So now you're branching out and you're rewriting or establishing those policies and procedures to streamline your operations. So just making things run more efficiently. The way I look at it, virtual assistants are really time savers. They are people mm-hmm. that are, when I started to look at I'm just going to backtrack a little bit, but when I started to look at why I wanted to become a virtual assistant, I made a list of everything that I thought I was really good at. And the things that I had, the skills that I gained and mastered or, felt that I could really offer out there, made this whole list of different things, right? And it ranges from tweaking your Excel spreadsheets to finding your top clients over the last 5 years from a spend perspective, right? To managing your events, to answering your emails, to booking your food orders or your lunch and learns or your
Right.
travel. But it also is updating your website and, responding to clients and sending thank you notes on jobs that you've done, things like that, and just keeping in touch. But the bigger piece of it was I wanted to do something, one, where I was in control of my time and where I was spending my energy. So through COVID, I felt that the last 2 years, digging into different jobs and, starting to work here or do a little bit there, it didn't fulfill me and it didn't bring joy, and it wasn't something that I could see myself doing for a long term.
Huh.
I was giving my time to a place or to a space that wasn't fulfilling me and my needs in life. And I think that that's what COVID has opened a lot of our eyes to. What do I want to do with myself? Where am I going to be able to be my best self and give the best of myself? And where do I want to dedicate my time? Do I want to work 80 hours in 1 week, 60 hours in 1 week? Maybe sometimes it's necessary, but do I want to focus those 60 hours, if that's what it takes, to something that I really enjoy doing? And then on the flip side, how am I serving the people around me? Am I making their quality of life better? Am I saving them time? Am I saving them money? Am I allowing them to focus on what's important to them to grow their business? And one of the first things that I ask people is, why did you start doing what you're doing? And a lot of them have said, I wanted more time with my family. I wanted more flexibility. I wanted to own my own schedule. Money is there, but it's not one of the top 3 things that they say.
That's interesting. You would think that that would be a priority, but it's not.
And I think it's something that, innately is going to come. You're starting a business. I think that's a big piece. And maybe, I've spoken to very humble people that don't want to say that straight off the hop. But the biggest piece that I want to give them is their time. I want to give them that time and that opportunity to go back to their family, to go to those events, to not postpone them. Because the one thing in life that we can never renew is time.
So true. The more you look into it and time management, and like you said, you save time. That's your task here at hand. What is time? Yeah.
Right. I think that's a very big question. And I think when they have it, a lot of us don't really know what to do with it. Right. You find yourself with those extra 20 minutes, you're thinking, well, I don't have to be at kid pickup, or I don't have to be at this meeting, or I don't have to be at this sporting event just yet. Some of us fall into, the social media trap where all of a sudden, we're watching TikTok or Reel for, 20 minutes to space out. But then there's another handful of people that have very purpose-driven agendas. And some of the individuals who I've spoken with very recently have said, I want to focus on building my daughter's social media presence because she is an athlete. So I want to help her get, garnish, and show off her abilities. So I would dedicate my time to that when I had more time for myself. Another individual, they lacking on the administration and the organization side, but are super creative. They don't want to be pulled away from their projects to focus on some of the administration stuff, like submitting receipts or keeping their bank records up to date, or, responding to generic, what are your pricing options, or what date can you come out to do X for me? So that's where I dive in and help them and support their business to allow them to focus on just the creative side of their business, which is, it sparks joy in them. It fulfills them. So there's been a few, different, very interesting conversations about what are you going to do with your time and how can I best serve you in that capacity? And it's been very interesting. And I feel like a lot of people are going, I just need help. Right. But it should. And I would love to think that I'm giving you an opportunity to take back that time. Non-renewable resource here, time, right? Like, what are you going to do with it? It's precious.
And I think through the pandemic, we've slowed down quite a bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
We're forced to slow down and not run around like being in a rat race. And it's kind of interesting to see how they handle that speed and adjustments.
Yes.
Was it tough for you to slow down and say, okay, this is the speed I'm going to have to work at in this day and age?
I think I find myself coming to my computer and sitting to find work to do, because I feel like that's always been what I've done. So to take a step back and say, no, I'm going to stop and pause for a second, or I wanted to read this book, or I want to listen to this podcast. So I'm going to, find something else, whether it's, and it sounds silly, but when I listen to podcasts, I'm either in my car, I'm folding laundry, or I'm vacuuming. Like those are like the three times, and that's it. It's not something that I sit and like have playing in the background. But when I want to listen to other ideas or what, you know, other people have gone through, it's more that I feel like I'm finding that connection to them. But I don't really think I'm answering your question very well, but you know,
No, that's fine. What kind of podcasts that do you listen to? Is it more self-help? Is it business? Is it
you know,
fun?
it's been more fun. I've
Yeah.
wanted to take sort of the edge off of, you know, trying to, there was a period of time that I felt like I sat down at my desk and, you know, before going to other jobs, and I was applying for jobs, applying for jobs, applying for jobs. And so that became like my side job, applying for other jobs, which
Hmm.
led me to start to, again, that whole reevaluation of what do I want in life and how valuable is my time to me.
Hmm.
So I needed some fun. I needed just something really lighthearted, you know, whether it was a comedy station or something that, you know, somebody was just ad hoc, you know, about, you know, an event that happened in their life, or
Yeah.
then there was a few more that were serious, but nothing that was, I couldn't dig into anything that was too heavy. I really stopped watching the news. I really stopped, you know, listening to sort of the noise on social media about all the negative
Controversies and
controversy. I can't. I'm spent on it.
it's exhausting, isn't it?
It really is,
And I
you
mean,
know?
at the end of the day, if we really look at it, we're all human beings. Like, just let it go, guys.
Yeah.
And when you're yelling at each other, people will remember how you're treating each other, and they're watching.
And that's one of my mottos has always been, it's about how you feel. So when that feeling can be how you treat others or how you make them feel, and it's the way you speak, but it's also the things you post on social media, right? People might not like it or might not comment on it specifically because they're choosing not to engage with you, but they remember how that made them feel, what that made them think.
Mhm.
And there's no right answer right now. There's nothing that you can say one way or the other that's going to sway anybody, and you shouldn't have to.
No.
It's such a divided time, and it's scary, it's unkind, it's unfun, and you sort of miss that social connection where we didn't talk about COVID, and it wasn't about all this negative feeling and this, you know, negative mindset that comes up, right? Everybody sort of takes a deep breath in when you bring up, well, what are your thoughts? Do I want to share
True.
COVID? Like, whoa,
Especially on a podcast when they ask, I said, no comment.
what am I walking into, right?
Exactly. No, because and you know what? It could be recorded and or documented, right? When you write things like that, and you never know. Yeah.
100%.
How did you find a way to keep a safe space around or make a bubble around you to say, this is my piece. This is I'm not going to allow this. Like watching the news was getting draining. Every day seeing those numbers, it was like deja vu or Groundhog's Day.
Really, it really was. You know, there was a period where I felt like we turned the news on every night, and it was my son who, at the time of the pandemic, was 5, and it was just, you know, probably only about 2 months in, and he said, "I can't." And he goes, "Do we have to watch this?" And you know, just being 5 years old, it was more him saying it to us. I can't. He's like, it's all bad news. Nothing's nice in the world. And I'm
And
like,
he's 5
right.
at the
He was
time.
5 at the time.
Wow.
And I looked at my husband and I was just like, oh, whew, that's heavy. Like coming from a 5-year-old to see that and to have that feeling, but then to say it, right? I'm like, you're right. Let's just no, we turn it off. So we made a point. If we felt that there was something that we needed to know was going on, we would try and tune in during the day to their whatever announcement, or we'd watch it at night when he was in bed. And those were the only times, right? And
Hmm.
now it's just become one of those things like, what's happening? When's the
Exactly.
last time you watched the news? Like it's become something that it doesn't, our minds don't go there. We choose not to.
No.
But we started to do, there was a period, and they might hear it, but like there was a time that we had to start scaling back on who we were spending our time with, right? Like it would just, we wanted to make sure that we were keeping our own sanity. We weren't falling into these conversations that were repetitive and or negative or made us, you know, argumentative, because I felt that every conversation for, you know, a solid 6 months was, and it's just been recently, but it felt very
Divided and controversial. Yeah.
agreed. So yeah, we just had to, you know, kind of take a deep breath, and we, as a family, collectively said, we're going to start to do something different with our lives. And we did.
So what have you done? Have you done like board games or
We do. Yeah. We have Thursday night
Crafts.
game night. We do. Yeah. All
Yeah,
of it.
I
So
love it.
we established Thursday night game night. And so my son, especially during the pandemic, like when things were getting really heavy and like there was no schools, like this is going back a year, obviously. Um, but Thursday nights, he would be stoked beyond, I can't even explain his excitement. But every game in the house was set up. And it was, but it was an activity that he could take on. And it took probably an hour plus for him to set up all the games. And then we went from station to station and played them all once. And then they all got cleaned up and put away, but it was a whole night thing. So it became an event.
Mhm.
And Friday nights was pizza night. And we made homemade pizza every single Friday and watched a
Oh,
movie.
I love it. That's
So, there wasn't always something, but we tried to have some type of a routine, something that was fun, something that was positive. And then we started playing bingo, which
oh,
was online bingo. Like, come on.
I love it.
It was hilarious.
That's awesome. Was it was it hard for you as a parent or you and your husband to see your children going through these times? Because I mean, when we grew up, we never thought of any of this. Our lives were so different. We didn't have social media or technology, and at the rate and speed we're moving at in a lot of things. Um, have you been able to kind of like close them off from certain things and say more coloring books?
Yeah, to an extent.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I feel like falling into, a digital age from a parent perspective. Um, as much as I want to say, yeah, I really monitor his screen time, I'm going to throw my hand up and say, like, call me a bad mom, but I didn't.
No.
I couldn't for periods. Um, Now that he's back in school and there's a little bit more of a routine, there is more structure around that.
Hmm.
But I feel like there was a time when people were saying, you really need to monitor and it's bad for kids' brains. And I read this stuff. I hear what you're saying. Again, I needed to do what I needed to do to survive those moments or those months. And this is what worked for me and my family.
Love it.
We,
Yeah.
we still spent our time together doing offline activities, our fair share of them, tobogganing at the hill outside, right? Camping in the summer, whatever it might be. So there was, very specific times that we do not play on our phones. We are not watching this. We are not on our iPads or our computers. All of us as a
Just like our
family.
parents did with everything we had to do, right? Okay, that's awesome.
It's a little different.
Was it tough for your kid to go to or go back to school, or be at home, and for you and your husband, like that management must have been so interesting and that transition.
It was different for sure. My husband worked in an essential role, so
Oh,
he always went to work. So he's never had like a day at home because of COVID.
wow.
Like that was never a thing. He's fortunate that he's never had to isolate. He's never been exposed. Where I've had COVID, I've had to isolate. Where then my son has to isolate as a direct result of me, just for his age and being unvaccinated. But I think that the transition of him being home was harder for me to manage, and I didn't quite understand it because I never had to work 100% of my time and also take care of at the time 5-year old. And then as things started to move on and he went to school, he was so excited. And I remember day one with all the little kids with their masks and they're all going into the school and they're meeting the principal at the stairs, and I was not the only parent that was bawling, and not for that typical like grade 1 bawling, but I was like, this is so different than how I remember my very first day of school, my very first
Totally.
exposure, right? Like you can't even see these kids' faces. You have no idea what your teacher looks like. Like, are you going to remember her in 20 minutes if she did have her mask off?
No,
You know?
no smile. You can't see that. No, it's
No, right?
yeah.
Just that, so that connection was lost. And I feel like that sense of security that kids need, and that, just as humans, that human connection that we need to feel,
Hmm.
um, wasn't there. So I wonder how much he'll remember of those days, those early
Or
days.
try to forget, right?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
awesome. Was it for 2022? Do you see trends in the I guess virtual world in your industry changing? Is it going to be the same? Is there new technologies that you always have to adapt to?
For sure. There's you know, I think you try and be as adaptable to your clients as you need to be, offering
Mm,
them they're going to help you manage your time or then manage their time and bring new ideas to the table. So I'm seeing a lot of that where there's business owners, small business owners specifically, that are looking for someone to come in with a little bit of new knowledge in maybe an area that is not their expertise. And that's the big thing. Again, coming back, what do you want to gain your time perspective? Because that I feel is the biggest thing that I can offer you is
Hmm.
taking back your time. What do you want to do with that time? And then looking at those areas that of a business where it can be streamlined, process improvements, opportunities for improvement, you know, and juggling a little bit with where can I best facilitate bringing this together for you? What is out there? So you have to know what you're looking for, and what you're looking at. Time management, things that I don't focus on, right? I'm going to stick my hand up for those. But there's always seems to be some new, new platform that's going to send out your emails for you, send out follow ups for you, integrate into your systems a little bit more fluidly. But then there's other touch points, right? So not just client touch points, but now you've got things that are going to help you manage your time or send out invoices in, segregated increments, so that you can manage those reoccurring billing, send out reminders or meetings. Zoom, right? You need
Zoom.
to
Yeah.
be up to date on the changes that are coming. What's free that isn't going to be free, because there's a lot of tweaks and changes that are coming. And I think all these businesses that were nice to have options have become necessities now. They're the only way that you can run your business moving forward, because people are not as open to meeting in person, or they're not as available to meet in person anymore because their offices have moved 100% virtual. So you have to have the tools readily available, or you have to find the people that can help you do the research and find you exactly what your business is going to need.
No, for sure. Now, Tara, before we get going here, how can people get a hold of you, or what's the best way?
Yeah, for sure. So on my website, therealva.ca is always a great option. There's a contact me option on
Hmm.
there. Social media as well. I'm on social as therealva.ca, keeping it super simple. Or Tara Lee Munro. Again, you can reach out to me any
Hmm.
which way.
And your
So
services are on the website?
they are on the website.
Awesome.
Yes, the website's just getting updated fully, because I've been offering it for 7-8 months or longer, really, just here and there. Um, my formal website is being launched this week, so fingers crossed it's
Ooh,
live
yeah.
tomorrow. The
Are,
whole
are you doing
thing.
it yourself?
I am, of course,
I
yes,
love
because
it. Yeah.
I build websites as well. So
Are you on WordPress?
no, I'm not. I use Wix.
Oh, Wix is so good, isn't it? With the, oh my God,
Oh, it's so
great
good.
features. Yeah.
Yes, really good features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Tara.